If your marketing sounds like it could have been written by ChatGPT, because it was, or your competitor down the street, you need a messaging makeover. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to ditch the jargon, lose the robot voice, and show up with personality that actually connects. Let's go.
Welcome to the Higher Purpose Marketing Strategy Podcast. If you're frustrated by marketing and want to stand out from your competition, this is the show for you. Every week, we're discussing how to build a plan that attracts your best customers and aligns with your values. I'm your host, Ashley Conway, follower of Jesus, CEO of Be Weird Marketing, marketing coach, and copywriter. I promise to defeat the ick, yuck, and struggle bus feelings you may have about marketing with a few good stories and proven advice. So let's have fun and get to work.
So today we are going to be talking about how to stop sounding like a robot. I wish I had my fan here so I could make a robot voice. And how to humanize your brand messaging. And what that means for today is that we're going to talk about how the rise of AI tools and their popularity are great for creating fast and inexpensive marketing content, but how that's also led to a lot of things that sound exactly the same, right? They're generic, they're bland, they're robotic. And since everybody's using them, we all sound alike. And then we're going to talk about how that is a huge problem for your marketing. So let's dig in. Why does your messaging, our messaging as a whole, sound robotic? So we all know, because so many of us are using AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT or it's Claude or whatever your AI tool of choice is, most of us are using them because there's just an immense amount of content that we all have to generate as business owners, especially online business owners. And it's just so much that it's hard, unless you have a large team, to just create enough to stay relevant and to stay visible. So we rely on these tools to kind of serve as members of our team that can handle this content creation for us. The problem is AI lacks emotional intelligence. It doesn't have the ability to make connections with people. And so that's what our content sounds like. And there's even, to exacerbate the problem, there's this echo chamber effect. So AI's ability is that they look at everything that's online and they use that to, generate an output. So they're looking at all the things that are online. They're generating content for us, and all of our content, all of us in the marketplace, sounds identical. How many times, a lot of times you can look at a message and know that is pure AI because it just sounds the same across the board. It doesn't sound bad. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I use it for certain applications, but it just sounds the same. It doesn't sound personal. It lacks personality. So here's an example just to show you what I mean. It's so much easier when we have something to kind of play with, right? So I asked ChatGPT specifically to write me a short bio just about my business, what I do. This was the result. Ashley Conway is a marketing strategist and copywriter who specialize in helping service-focused businesses clarify their messaging and attract ideal clients. With over 20 years in the marketing industry, Ashley guides business leaders in creating customer experiences that drive growth. She offers coaching, strategy sessions, and copywriting services designed to build authentic connections and meaningful results. There wasn't anything in there that was wrong. There wasn't also anything in there that was exciting, that was emotional, that would help you to connect with what I do. It was just kind of boring, right? And it felt very corporate to me, that we're just saying a lot of things, that make sense in the marketing world. But for the average business owner, did you all get anything out of that? Probably not. It was just a lot of boring. And so that's what our customers are seeing as they're looking at websites and social media posts. They're seeing a lot of the same type of boring wording. And that's something that we need to push back against because, the more that our world is driven by AI, the more people are going to crave personal, customized, authentic stories. They're going to crave something real. And we can be on the forefront of that. So, another thing, let's put AI aside for a second. What other things are creating this robotic messaging for so many companies out there? And I have seen this one with several of my customers. There's this professionalism trap. It's this belief that in order to look professional, you have to be stiff or formal in the way you speak to your audience. So the clients that are most tempted to fall into this for me are the ones that are larger companies. They feel they need to sound more corporate. Or the ones who have a high end, high ticket, high cost product or service. Like because their thing costs more, they need to sound more buttoned up, more stiff kind of. But high end doesn't mean stuffy. And the best thing about this is, obviously, a lot of y'all have large, medium sized businesses, you have a decent sized team. But just because you have a team, in a lot of cases, the voice of the company is still the owner. You don't start a business and you immediately have a team of 10 kind of thing. You started the business as you with your voice, your personality, your values. There's no reason that can't carry on, even if you have a decent team. Now, not a large company, but a small team, even if you have that, because people are expecting to do business with you and to hear from you. So it's still important to keep your authentic voice. Whatever it's like to have a conversation with you, your messaging should sound a lot like that. It's consistency. Okay, so let's move on. The second reason that people kind of end up with robotic messaging is what I'm going to call jargon overload. So we all have these industry specific terms that we use day in and day out when we're talking to team members, when we're talking to contractors, colleagues. We use these terms. And after a while, they feel like natural terms that everyone knows because it's a part of our everyday language. The problem is your customer has no idea what you're talking about, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to confuse them. It's going to alienate them. They're going to feel disengaged. They're going to get that feeling of this company doesn't really know me. They don't understand my life, right? So let me give you a before and after example. And I think this will really hit home. Let's say this example that I put together is for a photographer. So now this first example before is going to have the stiffness and the jargon, those industry terms that a photographer would know. Now booking clients for natural light portrait sessions utilizing prime lenses and professional retouching to achieve optimal exposure and clarity. I'm not hiring that photographer. No, I want somebody that kind of gets me, my family, they're warm. So here's the after. Let's get rid of that jargon and let's also make it more conversational and warm. Ready for photos you'll absolutely love and want to display for a lifetime? Let's capture your family story beautifully. Send me a message and let's chat. It is like what you would say to somebody if you were talking to them about your photography business. We want to capture photos that you're going to want to display forever. And we want to be able to tell your family's story through, this photography. Is that you? Then, we should chat. We would make a great team kind of thing. That's what a conversation would look like. In a lot of cases, that's what your messaging should look like. Now, if you're a law firm, don't follow that advice. There are exceptions to every rule. But for so often, especially if you're a B2C business, you're customer facing, make it conversational and make it warm. All right, number 2. So what we're talking about is injecting personality and making your messaging more authentically you. These are content writing, copywriting superpowers. These are the things that you want to use. But what does that mean? Again, because I want to be real clear. What does authenticity and personality messaging really mean? So let's talk about, let's define authenticity so we're on the same page. Authenticity is about speaking in a voice and in a style, a tone that is uniquely true to you and your business. So, like I said, the same conversations you would have in person with someone, that's what you want your messaging to sound like. Because then you're going to get a customer that gets the same experience all the way through. They start a conversation with you online, then they get to meet you one-on-one, and they're like, this is the same. There's no bait and switch. This is the exact same thing. So, and then with personality can be a little trickier, right? Because how do I put personality into a business? It's really about having a distinct, relatable human voice to what you're writing that creates that emotional connection that makes people, connect with you, identify with you, feel like they know you. And even as a larger business, you can do that because that is who is the face of your business. Is it your CEO? I mean, whoever the face of your business is, that's where we need to inject the personality. And that's where connection happens. And nothing is more powerful in marketing than true connections. So let's talk about, what does this look like in practice? Injecting some personality and some authenticity. So here's another before and after example. Before, our software solution leverages advanced technology to optimize operational efficiency. I hate that so much because what does that even mean? The point here is don't make your customer, don't make your audience work to figure out what you do or how you can help them. Make it so easy for them that they can't miss it. Our customers have so many other things on their plate. We don't want them to have to work to figure out how we can help them. So here's the after. Say goodbye to spreadsheet chaos. Our software gets your workflow humming smoothly so you can finally breathe. And there's a part of me that doesn't even want to use the word workflow, that would tweak that to make it sound more everyday language. I don't hear a lot of conversations where people are saying, my workflows are just so much better now, right? You want it to be everyday language that's understandable. So let's talk about some businesses, some brands that are doing this so well. And I think that will help illustrate it too. And these are 3 very well-known brands, but the applications are true even for your business. So number 1 is Dove, the soap, body wash, this company. Their personality is very empowering, and you'll see this in a minute, very supportive. So the example of one of their taglines is real beauty isn't retouched. Celebrate your unique beauty. So if you will remember, for several years, they have been running this real beauty campaign, and it started with commercials and ads of different sized women's bodies, different shapes and sizes and different ethnicities. They were showing that real beauty is diverse. We don't all have to look the same, and that they championed that cause. And now they're even moving, the campaign is still going. They're even moving into spaces that are like, how images we see in the media are distorted, they're photoshopped, they're touched up. They're even moving into this, or just like, for teens and young adults that are on Instagram and you're seeing people through a filter. Dove is reminding people there's so much digital retouching in our world, digital distortion, that what you see in an ad or online is a lot of times not the absolute truth. I mean, heck, when I use an Instagram filter, I just do natural, but that's still enough to smooth out some of my brown spots and age spots and stuff like that, right? So they're daylighting those things though, and that is a very important message for their audience, which is women and young women. That's a super important message for their audience to receive. So obviously what I'm getting from Dove is that that's important to them too. So they are taking something that they are passionate about, and they are, spreading that through their marketing, and they're making connections with customers who really need the Real Beauty campaign. They're connecting with them. And, young women are feeling like, Dove is the brand for me because they understand that perfection is not the goal. Okay, number 2, this is more of a fun one. Ben and Jerry's, their personality is fun. It's humorous. So here's one of their taglines. We make the best possible ice cream in the nicest way possible because life's too short for boring dessert. Right? And you feel that because here's the examples. Here's some names of their ice creams. Cherry Garcia instead of Jerry Garcia. Chocolate therapy. Yes, absolute yes, 100%. I would choose chocolate for therapy anytime. And how about the Tonight Dough? In the top has a little picture of Jimmy Fallon, and it's full of different kinds of like peanut butter cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough. I don't know. I love Jimmy Fallon, so that one makes me smile. So that's Ben and Jerry's, right? They are fun. They turn ice cream eating, which is already a fun thing you can do, even more so by the way that they market it, they name it, they turn it into even more of a fun experience. Shoot, I'm not even a huge ice cream person, but this makes me want to go get a pint just to get a cute name. All right, and here's the third one, Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, if you have one in your area, their marketing is warm, they're conversational about things, they're community focused. So when you go into the store, you'll see they have fun product descriptions. They have these handwritten signs instead of like the very corporate things you'll find at a Walmart or a Target, or, they have their corporate price tags. Trader Joe's doesn't work that way. It's all very handwritten. They have cool newsletters. In fact, I just signed up for their newsletter to just see what kind of fun stuff they're putting out. And they had on their site this example podcast title, Trader Joe's goes to Italy and gets sauced, which I haven't listened to the podcast, but I'm assuming it's like about some of new Italian products or something. But I'm like, you know what? If you want people to stop the scroll, that's pretty clever, very clever. And I love it. So to wrap up today, we're just talking about how important it is to make real connections with customers and turn them into buyers for you to sound less robotic and more authentic and more personal. That is the type of content that works. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to get clear on where you stand for your messaging. And if you need to, take it home to your spouse or your kids that are in the teen years and have them read some of the stuff that you're putting out and say, does this interest you? Like this, does this excite you in any way? And just to get their feedback. If that's something that you need to do, you need to get clear on where your messaging is at now and where you want to take it, how to make it sound less robotic. The best thing to do is to purchase a messaging audit. And this is a very low cost service for me. What you would do is that you would specify your website, your sales page, your email sequence, whatever it is. And I would go through there and audit it and help you know, like, yeah, this is sounding really bland and robotic. These are some ways I would recommend changing it to get better engagement and connection. And then tune in for next week's topic, which is going to be on discovering your brand's personality. If you aren't sure, let's work through that together. I thank you so much for listening to the show, and I will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to today's show. For all things podcast, including transcripts, extra resources, and a place to submit questions for the show, visit higherpurposemarketingstrategy.com. I'd also love for you to do me 2 quick favors. 1, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and 2, share this episode with your colleagues. And that's a wrap. Meet you back here next week.